Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Like to call this meeting of the Tourist Development Council to order. Today is October 11th at 9-ish a.m., 9:02. My apologies for being a couple minutes late. We had the animal shelter site dedication this morning, so that was pretty awesome.
Yep.
So hopefully that if you guys saw what was going on 491, that was it. So do you want to
Yes.
do your usual?
Yes, ma'am.
Please join us for the invocation and the pledge. Thank you.
If you'll join me, please, and bow your heads. Heavenly Father, again, we thank you that we're able to meet freely and openly in our nation, as so many others are under the thumbs of tyrants, and we won't even go into it, Lord, you know. Thank you for letting every decision we make today be beneficial to everybody. We know it isn't going to be really everybody, but we do our best to do what's right, and that's the main thing, do what's right. We ask that you bless all our first responders, both overseas and our local. And just thank you again for the opportunity to serve. It's in Jesus' name we pray and ask this, and thank you. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Let's start off with an oath of office. Yay.
A couple of them.
A couple of them?
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Ken.
Ken and Luann.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't do that. We didn't have you sworn in last time. You're right.
I just
We
sit
waited.
quietly.
I've already moved past that.
Ken, if you like, we can start with you. I know you need to leave early. All right. So if you just repeat after me.
Okay.
I, Ken Frank,
I, Ken Frank,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States
the Constitution and government of the United States
and the state of Florida,
and the state of Florida,
and that I am duly qualified
and that I am duly qualified
to hold office under the Constitution
to hold office under the Constitution
of the state,
of the state,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and accept the duties of a member
and accept the duties of a member
of the Citrus County Tourist Development Council,
of the Citrus County Tourism Development Council,
on which I am about to enter, so help me God.
on which I am about to enter, so help me God.
Perfect. And then if you can just sign on this line right here. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And then Luann, you want to join me up here. Do you have your driver's license that I can see? Perfect. All right. Can I go? Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So if you will just read after me. I, Luann Jacobs Wilcutt,
I, Luann Jacobs Wilcutt,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
That I-
protect. Go ahead.
that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution,
And government of the United States
And-
and of the state of Florida.
Constitution and government of the United States and the state of Florida,
And that I am duly qualified
and that I am duly qualified
to hold office under the Constitution
to hold office under the Constitution
of the state.
of the state,
And that I will well and faithfully perform
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and accept the duties
and accept the duties
of a member of the Citrus County Tourist Development Council,
of a member of the Citrus County Tourist Development Council,
on which I am about to enter, so help me God.
on which I'm about to enter, so help me God.
Thank you. And if you can sign right there. Perfect. Thank you so much. Yep, I'm done.
Okay, roll call is next. Dr. Paresh Desai, present. Chair Holly Davis, Jackie Hepfer, Ken Frink, Luann Jacobs Wilcutt, Michael Menke, Mike Shoemaker, and Max Schulman.
Thank you. I am looking for an approval of agenda, but I would like to discuss something right after approval of minutes and before open to the public because Mr. Frink has to leave at 9:30 and it might take a little bit. So it would be essentially other business by council members, just one subject. If it pleases the board, we'll do 2 sessions of that, just one topic at the beginning and if there's anything else at the end. Is that all right? Topic is scallop, the scallop presentation yesterday to BOCC. Everything.
Move approval with the change noted.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, looking for approval of minutes.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Well, we had 2. You can choose from Ken, who is very loud, and Max, who is probably a second ahead. So pick one. We had 2 seconds. We have a motion and a second. Any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, yesterday we really, pardon the pun, got into the weeds or possibly seagrass on scallops yesterday, at the BOCC meeting. There was a new variety of pushback from the scientist about reseeding, and that is it may not be economically pay us back, meaning competition of resources. So the seagrass beds can only support so many scallops, and he advised that it might be better to invest in revising the season or in the bag limits and put any money, which is really no cost, or look into putting any funds that we have into, continuing to improve the seagrass conditions out there. So we've heard from a lot of tour operators that they have the GPS coordinates and they're knocking it out of the park. The amateurs, not so much. And a lot of them are not longtime, are not amateurs per se. Casey Nayfield, who's a very respected retired veterinarian, has been going scalloping with his wife for decades out there many times. And he said they're definitely declining. So essentially what I came to try to put a pin in it, the scientists who help us, we did do scallop surveys the last time the fishery collapsed, and that's what closed the season entirely. That's what created the scallop racks to reseed the population, and it came back absolutely booming, but they're no longer doing the scallop surveys, so they don't know if the fishery is declining or not. So essentially, it's almost like a decline until it collapses, and then we're going to have to do it all over again and close the season. So there is some impetus to, the easy one, I think, is for us to discuss the season, pushing back the season 1 week is, I believe all the hotels and tour operators are very busy the first week of July because of 4th of July. There's also a safety aspect. When I lived on the river, even back then, with much less population and much less tourism, we never went out on 4th of July weekend because you'd get run over. Mm-hmm. So remember that, Ken? Okay. So I don't operate a hotel and I do not operate a tour company. So I'd be interested in what y'all think of advising that we push it back 1 week, maybe 2 weeks. And then the other recommendation was rolling bag limits to start off with 1 gallon and then go to 2 gallons later in the season. So did anybody get a chance to watch this? It was a very long discussion. A lot of science was put forward. So the scientists essentially said that if we pay for spat to put out there and reseed the grasses with more spat, if we don't have, it's a competition of resources thing. Casey Nayfield countered that by saying some of the places he's gone has beautiful scallop territory, just really gorgeous environment for scallops, and there are no scallops in that area. So he pushed back on the idea that we don't have enough resources to support spat. Anyone want to comment, thoughts on that?
I'd like to say something. I mentioned it the last one. We're sitting on a basket of golden eggs, and if we don't protect them, we're screwed. Okay. You know, case in point, Three Sisters is closed down for the season because the tourists have gone in there and destroyed the shoreline. So we've had to close it down to fix it. And if we don't get proactive in the scallop season, because we've all seen, I mean, I took a picture of the scallop season opening day. You couldn't see the horizon for the boats. And every one of them's pulling those resources out of the water. So I don't know what the answer is, but we have got to realize that something has got to be done or we're just going to lose it altogether.
And one key point is that this is one of the few fisheries or hunting stocks, you know, just wildlife that you gather to consume that is gathered during breeding season. So we are gathering scallops during their spawning season. And I asked the question, I said, how long does the scallop, because it spawns and dies. And I said, so how long does it take to die? And how long is it tasty, you know? And so scientists didn't have an answer for that. And I said, well, that sounds like a really great project for University of Florida to jump on because we don't have good data. Some of them actually survive through late winter, you know? So the idea being that the longer we push that season, the more spawn has been allowed to be released in the water. And so that's kind of the key metric, and that's why they said pushing the season back a little bit and the rolling bag limit so we're gathering less. With creatures that produce that much, you know, millions of babies, the point is to let enough of them produce, right? This is all common sense because there's a survival rate and all that. So just to allow more of them to actually spawn before they are either captured or die naturally. So, yes, Max.
To just go one step further on Kent's comments, from this floor once and also at a Fire Up Citrus last year, Mike Zerwinski had a proposal to somehow stimulate the hydroponics industry in the area that used to be called Port Citrus in the Florida Barge Canal. The water's there, and that among the things to do would be to have a preserve for scallops to try to, generate a protected population and transfer it out. I don't think that got a serious look. And so in terms of getting creative, it shouldn't just be about what days we're open or how much we let them take. We should be looking for things that get us more scallops, and at the same time, if it happens to develop an industry in Citrus County that would be unique, that would not be a bad thing. So I'm gonna see him at the Fire Up on Thursday night, and I'm gonna ask him for some data, but I hope we take a look at something like that.
That caught my eye because I was at the same Fire Up. Duke Energy already produces fish stocks for the fishing stock population out in the Gulf, and they're doing a yeoman's job of it. And so Commissioner Kennard was talking a lot about letting, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he called him Magic whatever, like they,
Eric.
who's,
Eric.
yeah, Magic Eric, who produces, just amazing, like
Fish.
little fish, and that it really has helped the fishing stocks. Now, the scientists then pushed back against that and said there's a really high mortality rate with domestically, produced babies because they go out there and they're, devoured because they don't have the same instincts, right? But if maybe the fishermen are just imagining things, or maybe it was,
Aren't we the only predator that pursues scallops?
No, just, crabs,
starfish.
Crabs, starfish,
Octopus.
octopus.
But we're the big predator.
But I'm glad you brought that up about other things before I forget. Then I'll call on you. The other idea was to produce or create zones that are no scalloping zones to basically, they get to breed,
Mini preserves.
they get to spawn unimpeded, and then the spat will just go with the flow, literally, and end up seeding the non-protected areas. Commissioner Kennard, I think, may have been the one who brought that up, but he's certainly on board with all of this. Like, he's hardcore on protecting that fishery. And whoever suggested between Chaz and Weeki Wachee, which would involve a partnership with our county to the south. Anything further before I go to Jackie?
Thank you.
Jackie?
No, what I'm hearing is great, and it's good. It's like future planning. What I'm looking at is the damage that's being done now, because we know that And not to be disparate of tourism, we know people are not following all the rules. They don't generally on anything. They're taking ones that are too little. So anything we can do to mitigate damage now while we're working on plans for the future is what I'm looking at, because I said it maybe 5 years ago, we lose nature, we're no longer the nature coast.
Yeah,
And
well
we're gonna
said.
lose our draws if we don't guard them religiously. That's it.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
How is the take regulated? I mean, you have a limit. Who watches that limit?
Fish and
Fish and
Wildlife, who
Wildlife.
is understaffed, I mean,
They can't keep up.
Well,
you-
yeah,
they basically, I assume it's the same as lobstering. I'm more familiar with lobstering because I do that diving, but they will just randomly pull boats and check the lobster tails to make sure that they're all of the correct length.
if you're trying to regulate and you have a limit on how much people are supposed to take, it makes sense that there'd be somebody out there checking bags.
Yep. Unfortunately, we pride ourselves on being a low-tax state and a low-tax county, but you have to hire people to do that, so it's always a balancing act of economics, right? So if we destroy our resources, the economics go down, but then the other way, you gotta find a way to fund. The balance part is hard.
FWC, they do move a lot of resources out of the Gulf War Scout season.
Do they?
They're
Okay, good.
they're out there,
Thank
but
you for
it's just
saying
they're
that.
not as prevalent as we'd like them to be. The other issue we got is the tour boat captains are doing multiple takes every day. So they're out there. They go out in the morning. There's sometimes 3 trips out there.
Mhm.
So they're doubling or tripling their takes. They get that as well.
Yeah, but the one good thing about the tour guide boats is that a lot of times those are out of towners who are actually buying hotel rooms and
Oh yeah. I'm not
Funding
knocking
everything.
it. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. And just because Cindy was in that industry, and she would go out there. These people catch 3 scallops and they're thrilled. I mean, it's just the experience. But so
it's the natives that remember picking up.
oh, I know.
KC said his record was 36 in one breath.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was a kid, I mean, I would get not 36, but I'd get 18 in one breath. I mean, they used to be really thick on the ground. So, anybody else?
Was it FWC that was there giving the presentation? I didn't catch that, or was it?
It was University of Florida, and FWC was, I mean, we got a really good turnout. There was probably 6 professionals there
Okay.
between the 2 agencies. And FWC brought up that they partner with us on a lot of the don't throw the scallop shells in the water. And hopefully education can somewhat help people respecting the bag limits.
At the county-sponsored Parks and Recs Expo a couple of weeks ago, FWC was there, and I'm pretty sure they said they have 14 law enforcement officers for all of Citrus County, southwestern Marion, and southern Levy County, and they put them all out. But when they do that, that means all the rest of that area has no law enforcement folks going around, and we still have.
And you said Marion, so it's land, that's land and sea officers.
Oh, yeah, you'll encounter them up in the Florida Greenway, they patrol that area.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really challenged, and it might be worth looking into volunteer augmentees, just like we have, for our sheriff's office, something like that. I don't think you'd have a hard time. I think we have a lot of citizens that could be trained, and you do like Parks, put them in the gray uniform instead, and they'd be out there.
Would they be attached to the sheriff's office?
That would be up to the sheriff. I would not begin to decide what the sheriff wants to do.
If you want to chase that idea down in
Okay.
all your spare time,
No, I won't.
just to see if that's something the sheriff would be interested in or FWC would be interested in.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I was sort of helped organize that along with Frank, and I spoke to the FWC officers when they left yesterday after, and they suggested that, and I think you were the one that had the idea originally to do a workshop with this group, as well as invite captains, maybe somebody like Casey and things like that, but have them here because they know what's possible and what's not. And we might just be spinning our wheels discussing in something that's not an option.
Right.
So I might suggest that we organize a workshop, which they're happy to participate in. I'm sure we could get IFAS to join us on that as well.
Okay, sounds good.
Would you like to proceed with that?
Pleasure of the board.
In
Pardon?
the META organization, most of the captains are the members.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And we did have some captains there yesterday from META.
Consensus?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Anyone know? There you go.
Okay.
I'd be glad to be the board POC on that.
Okay.
We did this 5 or 6 years ago with FWC here that came and gave us a great presentation. And the idea that, the sanctuary limit, off-limit zones and all that keeps our existing population in an area where there used to be the right kind of saltwater, this and that. And we talked about bringing reseeding and all that from Tallahassee or somewhere up that way. And there was a lot of worry about genetics from those scallops versus ours that could actually be detrimental to what we already have. So they really didn't like the idea of the reseeding process at all.
Dave, I asked that, and he said flat out that they would only use the genetics of our local scallops to do this.
Okay.
They
Maybe that's
completely,
changed.
because I've been on this board long enough, either attending or chair, to remember that entire conversation. I'm like, you guys completely changed your tune. It's not genetics,
Right.
it's economics. Don't think it's the best bang for the buck is basically what the
So I
scientists
think
said.
that part of that is that currently the only company that does it is up there. So it would be a question of getting one. Although Mike's point was, not only could we be our own supply for the seed, it's the same water. If you're in the area that was a Florida
What they're accustomed to.
barge, right?
And anything we can do to rope Duke in, that ends up, making the economics a whole lot better.
Of course.
They did mention a few times that they thought, the increasing the seagrasses would be beneficial. Is that something for us to explore with Save Crystal River or one of these other organizations if they're willing to, or just Sea and Shoreline, if they're willing to pursue something out in the Gulf of Mexico? I mean, I know we don't technically know if the population is superseding the amount of available space, but he did seem to think that that would be a good bang for the buck.
He did. My inclination is that if people like Casey Nayfield, and again, we're suffering from lack of hard scientific data is a big problem. If they're saying that there is plenty of seagrass and not enough scallops to fill it, then I'm looking at Homosasset Restoration, with Lacucci, Too Far, and the Inverness Lake chain. I mean, we've got a lot of inland waters to clean up and only so much money to go around. I do think that is the future of the nature coast. Like, we definitely need to pay attention to that. I know we've done those artificial reefs that are in the process of being developed, and all of that ends up helping the ecosystem.
Right.
So, but I love the idea, yes. I'm just not sure where in the priority list it falls because there's so many of them. I would like to take a consensus. Obviously, this is not a voting item, but what are your thoughts on adjusting the season and by how much?
I think we need to follow the science. So if they're the ones that are telling us what it needs to be, always back up to not emotion, not, if the science is telling us we got to shorten it by a week, we need to follow.
They didn't put a number on it.
Yeah.
They just said, back the season up, start it later, and do a rolling bag limit. So I particularly want to hear from the tour operators and the hoteliers about, because it's an economics picture, right? Pick the date that does not make you suffer economically, but actually helps you economically because you're going to have better scallop seasons after that, right?
Right.
So, Mike, go.
Well, you gotta get a little, for sure, that's a fact. Shortening it, starting on the front of the season, of course, is probably better for the population. But at the same time, the less and less school days we have now in the summertime, it's already shortened the summer a lot. For any of us that can, favor the family atmospheres, losing another week of that is a big deal. Now they're starting school, September 1st or something, it's crazy, it's way early.
Well, there's no benefit to shortening the back end.
No, I know that.
There's
I
only
agree.
benefit
I
to
agree.
shortening the front end.
But the rolling limit might be a better idea than just shortening the season, if they can get somebody to patrol it and make it work. That's the option. I mean, 'cause that's the
But-
hard part, obviously.
But are you, if everyone is turning people away the first week in July, just bumping it by 1 week, does anybody see a problem with that?
I don't see it because 4th of July is full anyhow for the tourism, so.
Yeah. Mike?
I mean, I agree with that, as long as the 4th of July always lays around a weekend. I mean, a lot of times it's on Wednesday. That changes everything, you know? So that's already a weekend, you already lost the first weekend of July, which is a big dollar weekend, of course. But at the same time, we still need to keep our scallop situation growing and not failing.
Yeah,
So I would go with that. I mean, at least try it for a year. See if it does make a difference. I mean, you're looking at a 2 or 3 year program. This isn't 1 year going to tell you if you made a difference or not. So it's 2 or 3 years down the road to see if we even made a difference by switching it back a week.
Yeah, push it a week and do 1 gallon limit until August. But I mean, the Spidey sense, and again, I rely on Spidey sense when I have to, but I really prefer scientific data.
Right.
So we just don't have the scientific data.
Majority of my customers aren't really out there to get 5 gallons of scallops. They're out there for the 1 gallon, just had a heck of a time getting them, enjoying it. It's not about the take. It's
good
about just
exercise,
having the atmosphere to go
Sun
do
and
it.
salt.
That's the big thing. It's not about the gallon limit or 3 gallon limit or whatever. For my customers, it doesn't appear to be anyway. They're not worried about how many little pieces of meat they get out of it. They're just worried about the family experience. So I don't think shortening the bag limit is going to hurt anybody that I can see.
Michael?
Yeah, shorten it up a week at the beginning, just gotta figure out what that start date would be, because if, like, to Mark's point, when the 4th of July hits, that weekend, if it hits on a weekend, that's important. So if it's the second weekend versus the first weekend, then it would be the next, because we'll do okay with 4th of July business. We won't do as well for that week, because the scalloping does fulfill the whole week, not just the 1 day. People take the time to do both.
Right.
But yeah, it makes the most sense to shorten it at the beginning.
If the fishery is indeed collapsing, it beats the heck out of having us shut down
Absolutely.
for 6, 7, 8
And
years.
then the bag limit scenario, I mean, I don't know that the one that matters much at the beginning, because again, where the bag limit matters is in the repeat customers that loved it, had it, and then they want to come back, and now they want to get their limits.
Yeah.
Because they enjoyed it and they liked it. So having a bigger bag limit at the end of the season, which wouldn't hurt us as bad. So we could do that rolling thing. But then, of course, it gets to the enforcement scenario. I don't think any one measure is going to matter. It's going to be a multitude. It's going to grow the grow grasses, get enforcement happening, shorten the season, decrease the bag limits. If we put them all into play, then it might give us a result that we see some traction on. But just doing any one thing isn't really going to help anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as much as I still like July to be my biggest month of the year, it might not be if we take a week, 7 days out of it, 4th of the month away from total revenues. But hey, for the protection of the long term, and again, it can make the craziness go away a little bit in those first 5, 6 days, 7 days.
It's
I don't know
dangerous
what
out
you're
there.
talking about.
It's absolutely dangerous. I'm gonna skip over everybody else here. Dr. Desai, I'm trying to hit the east side operators. Any thoughts?
Decided that.
Okay. Ken?
Well, I told you I had to leave at 9:30, so
Yep, so-
this is my cue. I do, and I apologize. This is a meeting. I don't
Do you
know.
have any, you wanna spit something out?
No,
real
I think
fast
we're
and
going in the
then
right direction. Let's get them in here and have a workshop and
Okay.
figure it out. But before I do take off, I want to introduce Doug Baber, who's going to come up and open the public in a little bit. But Doug's our new city manager. He's hit the ground running, brought a hurricane with him. Thank you. Mexico Beach. But I do apologize for taking off. I had a meeting scheduled like long ago that I cannot get out of. So,
No problem.
okay. So thank you.
Have a good day.
All right. See you guys.
See you later.
Max?
One thing about, I believe in science, but I don't believe in single source science. So I would want to put out a call and get data from more than just the University of Florida. And yes, then listen to it.
Okay. Luann?
Gotta say the resource. In the long run. For us, me personally, shortening the week's not gonna affect us that much.
Would it affect you at all? Do you have scalpers come in?
We do have scallopers come in. Our whole rental scallop went down this year, period, but I think it's more due to competition closer in. There's more Airbnbs and stuff in Crystal River now than before.
Right.
People like to be close.
Okay.
But you have to save the resource. Week's not gonna, everybody can survive a week.
Yeah. Thank you.
I agree with the science, I agree with the workshop. I agree that we need to, if we do both, the end result will be better than, like you said, a total shutdown. I guess my question, as I'm hearing all of this, I'm not a scientist, I don't play one on TV, but who indeed decided in their wisdom to begin the season when the poor things are trying to survive and spawn? That just makes no sense to me. But then again, I'm not a scientist, so.
I really wish I retained the technical term for that, but it's essentially that you don't take more than there is going to be competition for resources for the spat, and so there's going to be a certain mortality rate, and you just don't take to the point that it declines. Great case in point, the salmon going upstream to spawn, they have a counter as they jump the falls up, and when they hit the correct threshold, then they open the season.
You see, there's
It's just totally scientific. They know what the viability of the fishery is, and when they hit that number that have gone upstream to spawn, then all the other salmon are fair game for dinner.
Who's told the
Because
scallops
they
that-
spawn and die, because they spawn and die too, just like the scallops.
Well, yeah,
So,
I just think we're on the right track for preserving what is, as Ken referred to, the golden goose with the golden eggs, but if we butcher the goose, we got no eggs, so.
boy, we had a little counter out there that was
I know.
tracking when they spawn.
No, I will not volunteer to do that.
All right, if there's nothing, is there anything further,
One
Mike?
question. I mean, this might be off the track, but out in the Gulf, is this all Florida money we need to be digging for, or is there federal money involved that we can search for? For restoration of the grasses and
It'd be
whatever?
real interesting to dig into whether resiliency money qualifies because much like sand dunes protect the shores, there's a lot of money for that.
It would
So
definitely be the state. Federal line for the Gulf starts much deeper out. Is that correct, Michael? I think I'm correct
3
in
miles?
saying it's like, yeah, but we go out that far.
It is the international federal
Yeah,
line.
we'd have to look at that, but
Just an option.
yeah, I think it's a good option.
anything else? All right, I'm gonna open it to the public. 3 minutes at the mic, or 5 for the city.
Be quick, Madam Chair. Good morning, Doug Baber for the record, City Manager for the City of Crystal River. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the floor, and TDC board members and staff. In the last meeting, I believe Ken Frink brought it up about relationship to kind of protecting our goose and its eggs. So one thing that I'm here to do is to put something in your mind, possibly for an additional agenda item in a coming board meeting that you guys could consider in a better way to help manage our tourism as it goes forward. I hear you guys talking a lot about that, whether it's on the county commission level or the city commissions, but managing our tourism and managing our growth is one thing that I think we need to take care of. In 2016, the city of Crystal River replaced the bathrooms at Hunter Springs Park. And as you're aware, almost 1 million people a year come through here for tourism for Citrus County. And the majority of those hit the free spring at Hunter Springs. It's one of the last free springs in the state that you can go to. And this spring is starting to show wear and tear. So the storm hit us pretty good as well. We had to put 200 tons of sand back on the engineered beach. We're requesting money to come back from FEMA to kind of protect that so we continue to have our season ready as the manatee season approaches quickly. Just for the record, as you know, our city hall and tourism building were completely destroyed during Hurricane Idalia. We will not be going back into those facilities. Currently, we have leased the building. It used to be the Fastenal building next to the plaza there that has the Harbor Freight in it. It's right across the street from Three Sisters. It's right on Three Sisters Trail. It's an excellent spot for us. We're in the process of moving to buy that. Currently, we're leasing it for a long term. And we can have our people be able to walk in proximity to there, to come in for the tourism there. But today I'm here to talk about, so that will be open, November 15th when the season starts. November 1st, we're looking to have that open. I just want to make sure I've made you guys aware that we've moved our facility there and we'll be open in time for that for the season. What I'm here to talk about is Hunter Springs specifically. I've given a packet to the chair as well as to Frank and the clerk as well, that for you guys to review. I have it electronically that we'll send over as well. This packet identifies some of the things I talked about, the tourism that are coming here. Our bathroom at Hunter Springs Park is built in 2016, and it was enough to sustain the residents of Crystal River and light tourism. But since the boom of the tourism market through COVID has increased the people that are coming here to do outdoor types of things in nature, this bathroom has become overrun, and it's in significant disrepair. My plan is to ask for you guys, I put an ask in for $350,000 for the city as well as Citrus County to be funded through the TDC. This would add an additional bathroom. Instead of tearing this one down and building a bigger one on that pad, I'm proposing $50,000 to remodel this one, to make this one up to date and up to standards, and then build an additional one on the property, whether it's, male and female, or however it works out. But we would be glad to provide more information related to that. So we're trying to expand. I'm up.
It's all right, go ahead.
We're trying to expand the ability for more people to come to the park. Remember, it is a free park to attend for this spring. And we try to do everything we can in the city to make sure it's as nice as we possibly can. We're trying to look for your guys' help to make it better, to sustain future growth. So if that packet's here, we can bring back anything. We would go through the appropriate channels to bid this out accordingly, just like the partnership with the TDC to help move this forward for the city and for the county. So any questions that you may have for me, if otherwise, we'll have it at a later date.
Okay, that sounds good. Board, any questions? He had it set at 3 minutes, by the way.
That's okay.
Board, any questions?
Not without seeing.
Yeah, so we will all get this, yes, at some point.
All right. If you need me to, I'll send it to you electronically as well.
And I'll distribute.
Okay, and we'll go from there. I appreciate your guys' time today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Having run that, it is trickier than it looks. Would anybody else like to speak?
He needs a nurse. There's a button bell going off,
Good morning.
Morning. I'm not after scallop money or other money. I'm not here to complain.
Can you state your
I'm
name
here.
for the record?
Yes, I'm here to bring good news.
Awesome.
My name is Bud Osborne. I represent Too Far. Too Far has a letter on file, giving me the authority to speak for you. So I'm asking for 5 minutes, of which 3 minutes are gone.
We'll stop it in time.
Okay. We have some beautiful lakes. For those of you that only think the Gulf is what's in our county. But we have a problem with the lakes. The lakes used to be pristine. You could look over the side of the boat, look down 10 feet and you see white sand. Today, this can't be done. Tustics, hydrilla, lilies, and probably 20 other type of vegetation are filling our lakes, so they're not usable. There are some lakes you can't get through in a boat. You can't get through in an airboat, and airboats go anywhere. Too Far has been around for 40-some years. Have taken a task of going to clean these lakes up. We have engineered what needs to be done, how it needs to be done. We approached the state. State says, we believe in what you're doing, and they gave us money. My real purpose here today is to let you know what Too Far is doing with your $4.2 million. I want to keep you posted on a regular basis because we're finally making progress. We've had the money for 1.5 years, but because of various things at DEP, FWC, Swift Mud, STP, you name it, somebody has been holding us back. We're finally at the point where we're making real headway. Excuse me. We are at the process where we now have gotten everything ready to roll, and last month we put it out for bid. The bids came in, the cutoff date was last Friday. Tuesday, we opened the bids. Tomorrow, we announce the winner. Bids on something like this are a little bit different. If you're building a house down the street and you want somebody to paint it for you, this is already engineered. You know how many feet are on the walls, how much paint you're gonna need, how many wires if you're an electrician. In cleaning a lake like this, it's a little more difficult. First off, to find out where you're going, we're dealing with satellites. We've got everything laid out and set up. The people in Too Far are like you. We're non-professionals as far as being an aquatic engineer, aquatic biologists. We have people there that are salesmen, engineers. I was in the restaurant business. We need professionals to work with us. We've hired what we call a contract manager. This is a person who takes care of all the permits, makes sure when the bills come in, they're paid, all the administrative part. We've also hired a project manager. This is the guy that's going to be out there watching them clean the lakes, dispose of the stuff. One of the key things in disposing, because you deal in weight and cubic space, is to have the water dewatered debris. In our bids that we got in, the extremes went from waiting 2 hours after it's out and on the barge to 5 days. So we had a lot to choose from with our bids. We made our selection. We're about to put a shovel in the ground. Took a long time. Hopefully everything's going smooth. The big thing is we're finally at the stage where we're ready to go. Contractors will find out tomorrow who's the winner on the game. Any questions?
Lots of accolades from here. I
What
love
we need-
everything about what you guys are doing.
What we need, not from the GDC, is not monies. We need your support. Because we're going to be going back up. There are 15 lakes out there. We're only doing 90 acres. And I don't know if the 4.2 that we have now is going to be enough for our first project.
Can
So-
we write a letter from the TDC supporting this? Board?
What lake
Sounds
are-
good.
What 90 acres, what lake?
Pleasant Point,
Point Pleasant.
Point Pleasant. It can be seen from Gospel Island Road. You have to know where to really look though.
What's the estimated completion time? How long will
This
this take?
project now, we're good till December 31st of 26.
Okay.
We're already in the process of applying for the next legislative session. But because we didn't have anything done this one, we didn't get any. So hopefully now that we're at this stage, things are going to start to roll. The thing that's going to be positive with us is that we have now gone through all these hoops. When we go for the next part, we've already got that conquered. So hopefully DEP, which is a bear to work with, will work with us.
Madam President.
Yes.
Just quickly, Bud, thank you. We couldn't have picked somebody better to go around and talk about what we're doing. I've had people ask me, well, why are y'all all fired up about the lakes? We need help on the west side and the Gulf, and I try to remind them, whatever goes into the lakes and into the rivers and into the aquifer goes into the Gulf.
Yep.
We clean, that's God's filtering system. We keep that cleaned up, and we won't, maybe not having discussions about losing scallop and losing this, losing that. So it all is entwined together, and I'm just kind of amazed that people don't see that or that they don't teach that. Nobody seems to know that what happens in the lake ends up in the Gulf.
Exceptionally well said, Jackie.
Thank you.
One thing that I point out, a lot of people said, Bud, we already have harvesters out there working. Harvesters are good, but they're limited. Harvesting the way it's done now is like you getting off work today, going home and mowing your lawn. I know where you are next week. you're mowing it again. Ours is pull out and do away with a certain amount. That's the big difference.
And removing a lot of the, and I was told that I'm not supposed to call it muck, but it's basically,
There are some places.
it's vegetative decay, the
Yes,
bottom.
That's what the muck is.
Mm-hmm.
You got your own timer, thanks. There are places where the muck is 10 feet deep before you get to sand.
Mhm.
We're allowed to take 2.5 feet. And
That's it?
well, that's where your root growth is. So there's no need to take more. We just need to take what we need.
I
would like to
I
see.
follow the science, but that does not
Well, see,
sound.
dredging would take everything. But dredging in our particular case is a bad word because it takes everything. From your micro little mini foods to your smaller fish, your bigger fish, all the things that go with the ecosystem.
Right.
So dredging is, Mom will wash your mouth out with soap. Use that word.
It does seem like it would end up being a much healthier ecosystem if you go all the way down to the sand level, because then the water is perking through easier to the aquifer and
That part,
so
yes.
forth. Yeah.
But certain amount needs to be there also.
Okay.
Because in nature, you have to, it's just that we have so much right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything else? Appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thanks, Bud.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you for the transparency that you're giving every place in the county that you're going and speaking. If we had more projects like this, I think we'd get more money. And thank you for the stewardship that the organization is doing.
And
Appreciate it.
by the way, Bud, I have yet to make it to a too far meeting because you are always scheduled against a board that I chair.
I will get there myself.
So it's not for lack of wanting to be there, I promise. Anyone else?
Good morning. My name is John Labriola from Inverness. And first of all, just a quick housekeeping item. The agenda for today's meeting was never posted. So whoever is responsible for that, or if you could get to the person who's responsible for that, so it just gets done in the future. Also wanted to welcome the new member. I was here last time for the other two members, but welcome to Luann Jacobs-Wilcutt. Never met her, but I hope that she will add a good, strong, independent voice to this board. Sometimes, as I've mentioned before, there's not a lot of discussion on certain items, and it would be good to get more input and get a fresh look from a different perspective. So encourage you to bring whatever different perspectives that you have to kind of balance out some of the other perspectives that are brought forward. Regarding another thing that I brought up at the last meeting, it was kind of like poo-pooed, but I think it's either 5 or 6% that's charged in hotel taxes, and only 1 penny of that is allowed to go to anything other than tourist promotion, specifically asset management and stuff like that. I mentioned that perhaps we should ask our lobbyist if he could go up to Tallahassee and say, can we expand that, not just for Citrus County, obviously, but for all counties, particularly in light of the discussion that just took place with the fact that we're depleting our resources here by allowing so much overscalloping. This was mentioned by Councilwoman Hepfer, the goose that lays the golden egg. So why don't we go up there and say, instead of like the 1%, make it 3, make it 4, so that we can dedicate those resources to rebuilding that resource regarding cleaning up, maybe giving it, some of it to Too Far that's doing such a great job. I mean, use that additional money that we maybe not over advertise, because if we're already having a situation where we're depleting those resources, take some of that money and redirect it to specifically rebuilding our natural resources. So I really would love to see that happen. I mean, I know you had some kind of discussion yesterday, the commission did, about priorities, and I had to leave a little bit early, but if that could be something maybe the chairwoman could bring to the attention of the lobbyist to see if we could get that done, or at least begin the ball rolling in that regard to loosen up some of that extra money. The other thing I want to mention really quickly, Miles Partnership I know is a new advertising firm, but I know it didn't come before this board. So how does that work? And maybe for any other contract specifically relating to tourism, if it could come here first so it could get additional vetting. But I wanted to see what happened with that, why that can come here first. Thank you.
Board? Is there anyone else? Before I respond, sorry.
Allison Pinkston, Christopher Main Street. So tourism is also really big for Main Street because we bring in a lot of people. We try to really support our downtown businesses. You guys were talking about the scallop and extending the season. So while you're sitting there talking, I'm looking at the calendar. July 4th, this coming year is going to be Thursday. We're going to have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So backing off that week, I don't think you're going to lose business those first 3 days if you back it off and say start it on that Monday after 4th of July. And I think saving that first week is really going to kind of help support without you guys losing your businesses, your assets and your money, because you're still going to have that 4th of July. You're still going to have a ton of people coming into town because we see a huge influx with that. I mean, I'm downtown all the time. I work Centennial. I was there nonstop. And the amount of people we had in Crystal River for the Centennial and the amount of out-of-towners that showed up because they were in town and they weren't just scalloping. We made the news in Tampa with the Centennial in Orlando. So, TDC's done a great job of supporting Crystal River, getting us out there. But as you all say, we really do have to protect our assets. And scallops are one, our springs are another. So backing off that week, I think, would be fine.
Thank you. Mr. O'Connell, I saw you in motion. Did you want to speak?
Michael O'Connell, Floral City. I agree. I think the consensus here is that something needs to be done. If people come and they can't find scallops, they're just not going to come back. I went to north of here about 7 or 8 years ago, fairly early in the season. Didn't know where to look, but I think we got about 5 gallons of scallops, something close to that. But it was a tough find. We worked hard to get them. And I haven't gone back scalloping because it was just so much effort. Now, I don't have a boat, so that was, if I had a boat, that might make a difference. Mr. Labriola mentioned the agenda. If that could be posted, that would be very helpful. I don't know who's responsible for that.
Mr. Calsham, you'll check with the clerk's office?
Yeah.
The clerk is in charge of that, not us.
Yeah, I'm not sure what, I was out on vacation for 2 weeks, so I'm not sure what happened with that, but there are public posting requirements that should be followed.
Thank you. Welcome to the new member and to the other new member. I wasn't here at the last meeting to welcome you then. For several months, I've been talking to this committee about the county taxpayer money being spent on Outcoast Magazine, which is a exclusive homosexual media organization. Put another way, it's non-inclusive, which is not a good thing these days. I made it very clear in, I think it was the August meeting, that when money is spent, and it is spent advertising to everyone, the homosexual community, they're being reached as well. So I just couldn't put my finger on why we have to keep spending this money with a non-inclusive group like Outcoast Magazine. Until the August meeting, when I think I made it so crystal clear that Commissioner's response was that a bunch of mean people showed up to, I think it was, did you say the library meeting? To a library board, and said mean things about homosexuals. So basically we have to spend money to make restitution or reparation. So I frankly, I don't think we need to make reparations to any group, ever. I don't think that it would be popular in this county. I don't have your exact words, but you said it was because of the mean people saying mean things that we need to advertise without coast, to let them know that they're welcomed here, which is restitution or reparations. I don't think that's going to go over very well in the coming year. We're almost a year away
Thank
from
you.
re-elections. So thank you very much.
Would anybody else like to speak?
Greg Hoying, Floral City. Just a couple of things. In 2014, we started a program through FWC to locate offshore reefs in Citrus County. We were awarded $500,000 from the REACT money, the BP oil spill money. My point is, through FWC, they've got some fabulous biologists. And I'm a little surprised that you're not utilizing that. SwiftMud has biologists, DEP has biologists. So I would encourage you to, especially up in Tallahassee, the people that I dealt with, they were very helpful. The only other thing I'd like to say is my hope is that we promote Citrus County as a family-friendly, bring your kids. We've got the animal park. We've got Wiki Wachee. This is the only place in the North American continent that we can swim with manatees. So instead of reaching out to a certain segment of the population, just advertise it to everybody. This is the place to bring your kids, your family. So that's all I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? All right, seeing none. Board, do you have any comments?
I'd like to make a general comment. As a person who, for about 10 years, has gone up to the podium, I'd like to thank everybody that comes. It's really important that issues are raised properly and respectfully as they are, and discussion is held. Decisions may not always be what folks want, but this is the grass level of democracy, and it is also the grass level of stewardship for those resources. And thank you for the folks that come back and bring those things up. Not everything is going to be agreed on, but just thanks. It's really important that you do it.
Anyone else? Mr. Labriola, I sit on the Florida Association of Counties Board of Directors, and it was a topic at the legislative meeting a month or two ago to open up what the fifth penny can be used for, because every county has a different challenge from tourism. Monroe County, which is the Keys, has a starting, basically the lowest level home there is $1 million. So all of their service workers have to be bussed in from the mainland. So they put it on the agenda for us to lobby Tallahassee to open up the fifth penny to be used for essentially whatever is really ailing the community, the downsides to tourism success. A lot of upsides. This is one of our primary economic drivers in the entire state. It was tabled for further review because there's a lot of concern that if we start monkeying with the way the 5 cents are allocated, that Visit Florida is always fighting for survival year after year. We don't want to poke that particular bear. So I think that also from a other perspective, if we don't market, our tourism economy would collapse. And so we do need to spend the 4 pennies on marketing. The 1 penny, I feel, should be deployed to solve whatever issue for destination management versus destination marketing. Thank you for looking at the calendar for next year. So, and maybe that's something that we look at, that it's the Monday after 4th of July or something like that. It's not a number date, it's a, date, unless 4th of July falls on a Sunday, in which case it needs to be pushed. So maybe we look at the language like that there's no sooner than X date, but whatever. So thank you for looking at that. FWC was in big attendance yesterday, along with IFAS, is that right? And we're just getting a variety of opinions, and I think that unless we do scallop surveys again, we're operating a little bit in the dark. They can't even tell us how long a scallop is viable after it spawns, viable to eat. So we have a paucity of science. Mr. O'Connell, I am adamantly opposed to reparations of any kind. There's just no way to do that. I would never stay reparations. I recognize that you didn't remember what I said, but don't inflate what I said into something that's a completely different animal, okay? I would appreciate that. Anything further, board? Okay, thank you. Moving on, we have no presentations. So 2024 meeting dates. Staff?
So this is just to approve the meeting dates for the 2024 calendar year. All dates that are on this list are just the second Wednesday of every month. So if you just wanted to go through, if there's any that don't work, you can go ahead and change it now, unless you just want to approve it as a whole. that they
Are
have
any
dates.
not directly after a BOCC meeting?
It's possible, I didn't look at that.
Yeah, because my schedule tends to center around BOCC weeks, and that just makes it a lot easier to plan, but
I understand.
I did not, but we got out at 8 o'clock last night. I have not had an opportunity to look at my calendar to see if there's anything. But the world also doesn't revolve around me, and the board will survive just fine if I have to miss a meeting. Anyone else? See anything on the calendar, the county calendar that would be in conflict with? Nope. All right, I think we're good to go. Unless you need, you don't
We
need,
do
do we,
need a
is that a voting item?
Yep.
Okay.
I move we accept the 2024 meeting date calendar.
Okay, we have a motion by Jackie, a second by Max. Any further board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, Scrivener's error.
Yeah, so this is just, there was a scrivener's error in the July 2023 TDC meeting minutes where there was just the presentations, this was for the event grants. So all of them were noted at 1,500 except for I did provide the application request for the Twisted Arts Initiative. They actually requested 750 instead of 1,500. So this is just a request and we'll need a motion to approve that. I'm just changing the minutes to reflect that. That should be 750, not 1,500.
Board,
I move.
Yeah.
motion, second. Okay, motion by Max. Which mic was it? Shoemaker?
Shoemaker, sure.
Okay.
Let him have it. Just put Mike down.
Yeah.
Just put Mike.
Can't swing a stick without hitting a mic in this room. Any further board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, destination updates.
Social first.
It's,
Well, let's do it again. Oh, sorry. I thought I was first, you were first. Okay, so, let's go over the tourist development tax. Just a reminder, these are actual, numbers that were collected in September for August. These are actual August revenue numbers. You can see that we are down, August over year, by 7.29%.
May I ask one quick question?
Yes, ma'am.
What date were we affected, because I was out of the country, what date were we affected by Idalia?
That was in September. So we
we
won't
had
see.
no effect in August?
No, we won't see
Oh,
those.
yes. We had 2 days in August. It hit the 30th.
Oh, that's right, it hit
That's
on
what I
the
was wondering,
30th.
yeah,
30th, 31st.
30th, so I just wanna put these numbers in
Which it feasibly,
context.
yeah, 27,000 is feasible for the whole county
Right. It was about a
to have
7-day
that effect.
Okay.
I feel that 27,000 is probably
Lost a week.
what that is. That's such a small amount, so yes. Fifth penny allocation, you can see the numbers there. Year over year, the good news is that we are still projecting growth of 6.6%. And I don't see that falling much more with the September numbers. The good news is we're still doing this. I know it was talked about that at some point we're going to do this, but God bless us. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Yes, you.
Good morning, Alyssa Hofeld. I head up social media for Discover Crystal River, and I'm here to go over the last month. So what impacted us this month was Hurricane Idalia. One of our best performing posts was a recovery series that I did because our audience really wanted positive news about Crystal River and Homosassa. From the reports on TV, it looked like we were demolished and devastated. I kind of started the recovery series very quickly. One of our best performing posts was this one, and it's up to, I think, over 1,000 now. That was for our regular Facebook page. Then Captain Tony, as always, does the best. He gives probably sometimes it's once a week. He gives fishing reports, and our audience really seems to like those a lot. He's very well liked in the community and very knowledgeable. And then on Instagram, we had a cute little manatee video that did well. I don't know if that can be played. I heard before that we were having some firewall issues or something. It can't. It's okay. If anybody's interested in that video, I'm happy to show them where to find it. It's on our Instagram page. And then we can go to the next one. Or sorry, can I? Okay. So this is our follower comparison. We're still in second place. We haven't been getting the numbers that we were getting, and that could be because of the lack of influencers coming into the county, because those do help, as well as the travel. We're not going. And then also I've been hearing from the business owners that this is a slow month, and this is the first time I've been working for the county and doing social media for the county in September. So it could be all of those things. But we're still in second place, and hopefully we'll stay there. As far as the insights, we had 381 new followers, which is always positive. Our profile visits went up almost 53%. Accounts reached up 56%. And then on Facebook, we also had our percentages go way up on visits and new followers and some other stuff. I don't know, our reach. And then we'll talk about a little bit about our Instagram stories. So I mentioned that I went into kind of a Hurricane Idalia kind of content. The first day that I started that was the day before the hurricane. I reached out to Frank and asked him if it was okay for me to switch our content and post about the hurricane. He said yes. He also led me to Sheriff Citrus to get some information. So I started, that was about 9:30 in the morning on Monday. So I started the hurricane content. So our stories, because of that, we got many more views from the stories. And part of that is that people were interested in what was going on. Not that we're like a major news source, but we were one of the few big players in the county to be posting on Instagram. So I was posting on both Instagram and Facebook, but we were one of the few, besides Sheriff Citrus, that was posting about the hurricane on Instagram. So our Instagram stories went way up as far as our views, and we can segue into the next page. So I wanted to talk about the stories. So during and after I posted, so you can see some of what I did post. It was everything from spaghetti models to evacuation notices, to links to Sheriff Citrus. And so I did that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, kind of during the storm. And then after the storm, I wanted to give stories of hope and that we weren't, devastated. So I posted some of Mayor Meek's. I reposted those. I also, anything that was positive as far as meetings, the community coming together. I even got a quote from the manager over at Shrimp Landing saying that we're the best county in the world and that everyone came together. So I just wanted to show our audience that we were coming back, and we were coming back quickly, and we were. And just so you know, as far as I'm concerned, the businesses opened up rather quickly. I mean, I was kind of shocked. The first few days after the hurricane, which was Thursday and Friday that we were back at work, I actually did live feeds from the east side of the county. I did a live feed from Taylor Aquarium, the Inverness Courthouse. Then on Friday, I went to Floral City, met with Regina from the Shamrock Inn. I did some Withlacoochee Trail stuff. And then my second live feed that day was from the Floral City Heritage Museum. So I was pushing that and showing everybody that that area of the county had not been damaged at all. So then we can go to the next one. Okay, so I created an Instagram highlight, which had everything in it in regards to the recovery. And so I posted everything in there from what to do if you see a stranded manatee. I did, starting on Friday, I started the recovery series. There were already businesses opening back up, and that gave our audience a lot of hope. And it was, people were saying thank you for showcasing this. I also posted stuff about FEMA and different loans that Frank sent out. This one in particular that says Citrus County, that was a really good resource that the chamber put together. It was like a potpourri of stuff that people could use. It was different, stuff from the state. It was really good. And then I started posting about attractions, restaurants, and businesses that had opened back up. And you can see some of the ones that I did, the Homosassa Springs Wildlife Park, and then I would post about different things happening with Mayor Meeks and Governor DeSantis. I posted a couple things about that because it's part of the recovery. And then I think, do we have one more? And these are just some posts. This is part of the recovery posts. That one on the left is about the Channel 9 news segment. That was done. It was very positive about the recovery, and I followed him around and we traveled together for a couple of hours. And then these are some of the places that opened back up. And then on the far right is a video that I had created that I posted on Friday, and it was kind of like a culmination of the recovery series, and I don't believe we can play it, but it's a minute and a half. In there is 54 different businesses from Homosassa and Crystal River, businesses, attractions, restaurants, tour companies that have opened back up. And I'd love to show each and every one of you this video because it's very heartwarming. Some of my colleagues said that they got a little teary-eyed, and I got a lot of thank yous from the businesses. They reached out to me. So just saying that, yes, Hurricane Idalia did some damage, but it didn't damage our spirit. It was very cute. Sorry, I'm like emotional. Anyway, sorry. It was a very sweet video. So I'll anyone who wants to see it, I'll show it to you, or I can email it to you or whatever.
Email us a link.
Sure.
I'm sure we'd all like to see.
Absolutely, we can do that. Yeah. So we're winding down our recovery series. I think we need to move on now, right? And but we covered it, and people were happy to see that businesses and places were opening back up. And yeah, that's it. Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Awesome
Good.
job.
Anybody?
Okay, great.
Awesome
All right,
job.
thanks.
Well done.
All right,
We have a fam tour. Yay.
we have one on the books for November, and then there's another.
How did that one get arranged?
She reached out to me,
Okay.
the writer for Escape Australia. She's also doing an article in Dock Walk, which is a boating magazine as well. So we get kind of a twofold, but Escape Australia is the larger publication. So that's where I've kind of put the naming for it. But Escape Australia has 2 million subscribers. So this was a fantastic opportunity that while Frank was out, I was speaking with Aaron about it. And then, I've talked to Frank with it since he's been back, and definitely one that I didn't want to miss. So I may have been the squeaky wheel on that one, but I really wanted it.
Now, we were blank last month because of the policy change that's now been reversed.
Yes, ma'am. So I wasn't able to accept this one or the one that is in the approval process now because we weren't accepting any of them.
Okay,
and
just
then
wanted to make sure.
some of the other opportunities, we had a few more people reach out to us that we're just working now that we are back open for business. I'm working on figuring out dates that work for them because some of them, the requested dates were when we weren't able to. So we were reworking. So we've got a few lined up. We've got one in the approval queue, and then we've got one full on approved that I am working on scheduling now. So again, she's got for Escape Australia, she's got 2 million subscribers for that magazine. I mean, it's her personal magazine she writes for, but she's already got a story secured in that one, as well as the Dock Walk magazine. So that's a 2-for-1 situation there. So love that. It should be great for us. This has never vibrated before. I don't know what it's under. So this
It's
is
the bat signal.
right.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, lady, we got. So for our PR reports, this is not our last one for Hayworth. We've got one more after this one. And that was for, if you'll click the view full report, we'll see if it pops up. I don't know if the firewall is going to be.
It's the second to last for Hayworth. Did we move on from Hayworth as well?
I don't know if we've decided that quite yet.
Okay.
Still a question mark, but within a few days we'll know.
Mm-hmm. So if we could scroll down just a smidge there. There we go. I should have worn my glasses. So our coverage for this includes that drink tea and travel, which is something I spoke about. I can see off this one, thank you. We spoke about before. I've got a slide with their YouTube video, but they came in and did those glider tours over at Wright Rudder and cycled the Withlacoochee State Trail in addition to swimming with the manatees and a few other things over here on the west side. And then there was some coverage in Travel Awaits, which is a great magazine or online publication for the mermaiding experiences here in the county. So that's what she pulled for her reports this time. We're good with that one. And then our full VCB report. Love technology. There we go. This is a link to an old one. I'm sorry about that, guys. I must have not copy pasted the link in there correctly because that's definitely not this past one. But so this is the screenshot is the correct numbers for this report. Little over 2,000 impressions. Those were just residual posts from folks that had been in prior. So now that we have new folks coming in, we should see an increase in that soon. And then if we can get this one to play, this is the group that came in with Drink Tea Travel.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. We are here in Citrus County, Florida. It is a well-known area for manatee snorkeling, which we are going to be doing tomorrow. But in the meantime, we're exploring some of the other areas of the county, including Inverness. So right now we got some e-bikes, and we're at Withlacoochee Trail over here. It's a very popular trail for biking. So we got the e-bikes, we're gonna go biking, and then we're gonna do some fun stuff in the afternoon. Let's go. Well, we are on our way to the airport, but we're not leaving just yet. We're about to go on a scenic flight of Citrus County. What's really cool about this place is they actually have sustainable or eco-friendly glider planes that they use, which use about a fifth of the fuel of regular planes. They also have some electric ones, which they actually don't have available for us today, but they do have them available in the future for anyone considering taking one of these scenic discovery flights. So let's go check out what they have to offer. And now it's time for our highlight event, which is the reason that most people come to Crystal River, which is swimming with manatees. Although most people come in the winter months when there are hundreds, if not thousands of them, we're here in the summer. There are a little bit fewer of them, but they usually have a few resident ones that we can kind of spot. So we're going to go out today, we're going to see if we can see them being active and take a few photos and videos. Let's go. Well, that's a wrap in Citrus County and Crystal River. We really enjoyed our time here snorkeling with the manatees, even though it wasn't the season for it. But the show must go on, and we must continue on to our next destination. As always, hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like the video, subscribe to our channel below, and see you next time.
All right, so sorry, I know that was a little bit longer than normal, but
Well done.
wanted to show you guys the
I would like
efforts.
a copy of that video as well, emailed to me.
Sure, we'll send you the YouTube link there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's just a highlight of the efforts that we're making to try and encompass the entirety of the county. This has been it takes a while to kind of show people what they should be interested in and get the different partners on board and things like that. But, we definitely heard you guys and what you wanted and what you needed, and to kind of spread the love and share it throughout the whole county while still realizing that our bread and butter is what it is. And so we know what will draw them, but we also know we've got plenty of other things to satisfy them while we're here. So we'll continue on in that effort and hopefully have many more projects like that to show in the future.
Yes.
Your efforts are definitely appreciated by the east side, as we're now, east side, west side. I wish we'd just say the county, but
Sharks and the
So-
Jets.
Inverness is happy, yeah, all around the county. We're very happy with the efforts being made, and it's given a whole new positive outlook to our businesses. They feel more like, hey, we do belong. Because for a long time, they were kind of like out in the weeds, no pun intended. So thank you.
I'd like to also get that YouTube video to use in all my promotions.
Sure, we'll send you the link to it. That way you can, embed it in your. We have a better one for the Cove. You weren't here when. You probably heard about it from Kemper, but we did a RV there yet, and they stayed there with you guys. They have a fantastic YouTube video that I think would benefit you guys even more because it shows the RV park there for you.
Yeah.
So,
But
happy to send you both.
Yeah, I've got that. But a lot of our guests in the RVs and the Airbnbs are they're all time asking about the springs and the scalloping and what there is to do. So I don't have any of that footage that I can give them. So you send that
Yes,
to me, then I
and
can.
Max and Oksana would love to have as many views as possible, so I'm sure they'll be happy if you guys embed that YouTube link for sure. So, we'll go to the next. Oh, it's not vibrating or doing anything.
And I would say, as much as I love Citrus Avenue, I think that Inverness has a much better layout because it's not separated by US 19. And you've guys have some seriously charming stuff to walk around and do there.
This is our forefathers.
Yeah.
As Miss Jackie knows, I live right there downtown. It takes me 2 minutes at most pushing a stroller to get to downtown Inverness. I love the area. It means the world to me, and I'll do my best to
I want
promote
the
it.
link so we can put it on the city website.
Sure,
That's
sure.
Great.
The West Side
and show it
highlights.
to your board.
Yes, I did speak with Jean the other day at the Inverness Area Council meeting, which I do go to every month to try, which is how I formed the connection with Eric over at Right Rudder, so it is beneficial. And I think, doing the best I can to kind of convey our efforts to the Inverness business owners. That way, the more of them we can get on board, the more we can promote the area. So
And it's having an effect, so.
Good.
Speaking of, do we normally have VCB at the crack meeting? I know
Yes.
it's very unfortunately named.
I attend
First
those.
River Area Council, okay.
And I do the IVAC. So West Side highlights are again some of the things you saw in those reports. The mermaid visit, and then Max and Oksana did a blog strictly about swimming with the manatees as well. And then I also was a guest host on a family vacationer podcast. So we can always send out that. It's not a very long. I think it's about 14 minutes long, but discussed the county in its entirety, a little bit of everything that there is to do around. So if you enjoy podcasts, we can always send you that link as well. If you want to hear my voice for a little bit longer today. And then this video is, I won't make have you sit through this one too, since Alyssa did such a good job covering the recovery efforts, but this is the video, the news coverage that Bay News 9 did. Brittany and I worked on getting Calvin here to do the coverage, and then Alyssa did a great job suggesting that ice cream bar be a part of it, which he obviously loved since they were kind of the highlight of his news story there. And then of course she traveled around with him and got more information out to the public. So that was a really great article there, especially since Tampa and Orlando are major markets. So getting that information out to them was important. The last thing I have before I let you go is our new visitor's guide is out to print right now. So this is a dummy copy, so it's not polished up and clean, looking great. But if anybody wants to take a quick sneak peek at it, feel free. I can pass it around after the meeting or whatever. That way you can get a good look. 2 things to note for Jackie and Max real fast here is there are 2 beautiful pages dedicated to cycling the trail here, written by Nancy Moreland. You may know her. She's been around in the area for quite a while there. And then another great highlight for the east side as well is our murals page. I absolutely love the Inverness mural. So that's the main image there on our murals page. In addition to, of course, everything else that we cover, each city has its own page dedicated to it to cover it a little bit here. So Inverness page is great. Floral City's got its own. Homosassa has its own as well. And then each page of the visitor's guide has a QR code there on it. That way they can scan it and get additional information. So we call this more of an inspiration guide rather than a magazine. It gives you the brief highlights and then the opportunity to look for more on the website. That way we can keep it a little bit more up to date. We're not having to reprint a guide every single year. We may have to print new copies, but we won't have to rework it, which is quite a beast in and of itself.
How do we get the guides?
Once we get it printed out, we will be dropping them off at all of our partner businesses and things like that. We just, we're supposed to have them in hand on Monday, but I couldn't wait till the next meeting. I had to tell you guys now. So I brought my dummy copy with me. But yes, we will be dropping those off to any of the partners that would like to have them on hand. We always drop a bunch off to the mics, and we're happy to drop them off to you as well.
It
might cost a couple wings, but.
Yeah, I do expect fries out of it, but other than that, any other questions for me at all? All right, thanks, guys.
Anyone? No?
I would just like a copy before the meeting, if possible.
Did you
For
hear
the
that?
Inverness Council meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. What day is that?
Tuesday.
Oh, all right, we'll get it to you.
Yeah, I should be able to. Are you in the at the city hall Tuesday
I
before
can
the
be.
meeting?
We don't have offices there.
Oh,
We
okay.
just meet people there in a little conference room, so.
Well, I can always bring some by Tuesday morning. That way you've got them.
What time?
Let me double check, make sure it's tentatively we're getting them on Monday. So
Right.
once I know for sure, I'll shoot you an email. We could schedule something.
Please, because I would love to be, I mean, me sitting up there saying, here's what we're doing is okay, but to hold it up and say, pass this around speaks volumes without me speaking.
Absolutely. How many council members are there?
There's
Remind
5 of us
Five.
and the mayor.
So I'll bring you, several copies. I'll bring you 20. That way you've got one
Thank
for
you.
everybody and then
That's
some
perfect.
extras.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, on other business, I would like to hear from the hoteliers. I'm sure the hurricane devastated you, right? But I would like to know.
We had a lot of
this-
cancellations.
I'd like to know the status of everyone's situation, because Plantation obviously took a big hit. What is your status now?
We've got, around 100 rooms open right now of 196. We got another 40 coming online this week.
Okay. The restaurant's up and running.
Restaurant is running
meeting
outside.
space?
Inside's not. With the flooring, we ran out of flooring, so that hopefully will be in tomorrow. We'll have the restaurant hopefully open this weekend.
Good.
And then hopefully have the pool 100% this weekend, and so we should be at like 90% overall by.
So about 6 weeks lost.
Yep, by about this weekend, we hope.
Okay, good. Mike?
We never closed.
Okay.
We're still running. We're still in the rebuilding process, of course, but we got an extreme amount of water like everybody else did.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got certain rooms that are open, and our clubhouse don't have a floor in it yet, so it's all concrete. It's just one of those things. We're still there. We're still open. Of course, we lost a lot of business over it. Everybody did. And residuals is still going on, because it hurt. It
People
didn't
think
just
it
hurt
was-
us. It hurt a lot of other people also.
Well,
Customers.
and people think of Mexico Beach situation, and we were far from that. We were
Right.
not wiped
Absolutely.
out. So,
But yeah, for the most part, about at least 90%.
okay. Dr. Desai?
I think about 36 rooms at West Western were washed out, and about 12 at the port would be fixed.
And when are you gonna be back up to
What,
full?
2 to 3 months.
2 to 3 months? Okay. Does anyone have, any idea of, we lost Main Street, what the situation is on Citrus Ave? I think Cane's is still closed. What else is still closed? Anything?
Alyssa, do you wanna?
Yeah, So Cane's is still closed. There's no ETA on that one. Amy's is supposed to open up in a couple of weeks. I'm trying to think what else is
KC Wine Bar is.
KC Wine Bar is, I walked in there yesterday and they're making a lot of strides. I would say it looks like a month, but it looks a lot better than it did. And the clothing store or the gift shop next to it, that's opening, I believe, this weekend. The Outfitters, I think it's called.
Fish Hook.
And Salty the gift shop on the corner with the
Salty
octopus.
Girls?
Salty Girls, thank you. They are back open. So I was surprised because I had heard that they weren't going to be, but they're open as well. So
Did anything east of Salty's get devastated? Because a lot of those are built up.
Cotton
Those old
Club got
Victorians.
damaged quite a bit.
Did it?
Yeah.
I hope
And
they moved their stock.
Yeah, I don't. I'll find out if they're open. I'm just trying to think. What else is it there? Crystal Blue Lagoon is that bed and breakfast is open. As far as his hotel, Crystal Manatee, that opened actually rather
Oh, good.
quickly. And
That's
what
a cute
else?
hotel.
So cute. And do you have any other questions?
Nope.
Okay.
I just wanted to get up to speed, so I know what's going on.
That's all I know.
You can go to our social media pages. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Sleep is optional. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Any other new business from anyone?
I think the other one on the other side, Florida Cracker, I think is still closed too, but most of the others are pretty much up and running and some potential.
Okay.
The Florida Cracker's still down for right now.
Is that it over in Homosassa
That I'm
that
aware
you
of.
think of?
Mhm.
Island Outpost is open. What about Ozello?
Oh, I don't know. Probably not.
Anyone know about
Bex was
Ozello?
open.
I do know
Yeah.
a little bit about Ozello. I'm sorry. Because
And she's back.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry. Okay. So Ozello Marina is open. PEX is the interior is not open, but the exterior, that nice little patio that faces the water, that's open, and they have a food truck. I went out there. I'm just trying to think what
I
else.
want to say Island Outpost is open too, because I ran into Dan Williams last week at one of the community events, and he has a share in a lot of various restaurants. He owns Crumps.
Oh, okay.
So, but he owns some other restaurants as well.
And Crumps opened up really quickly. But I've been trying to go to some of the places, especially in Ozello, because I couldn't reach them by phone. So I drove out there one day and took photos and promoted them. I've already done some stories
Good.
on them. And I'm going to do a designated post for all of Ozello, because that's, a community unto itself, to share with our audience, like what you can do out there, right? So anyway, sorry.
Thank you, Alyssa. Any other new business until we go to Jackie with the city? Anyone? Jackie?
Thank you, Madam President, Madam Chair.
Madam President, you got a promotion?
4CF that I chair is the position as president versus chair. It gets very confusing
It
when you sit
does.
on, every board has just different rules.
And it would be misconstrued if I just said, thank you, madam. We would be under attack there, so we have to be careful. It's just crazy times. I'll keep it short and sweet. Happy Cootertober, everybody. We are in the middle of it.
Cootertober.
That's it.
Only in
19
Citrus.
times a day.
Only in Citrus County.
Exactly. And this weekend coming up, we have the Zozo. I don't know how to say it right. Anyway, they're the #1 cover band of Led Zeppelin in the United States. They're appearing Saturday night, and the frontman of country, big names, is Sunday at our 2 concerts. They are both ticketed events, so we got you covered if you're Led Zeppelin or country or both. I can do them all. Anyway, that's this weekend. We got something for everybody, and the mural, that part was awesome, seeing the murals covered, because we just voted at the last meeting, our new mural that's gonna go behind the other one is Elvis. And then we all know Elvis did part of the film and Follow That Dream in Inverness when I was young. It was an amazing time, and it's like everybody just dropped the ball. I mean, Elvis was here. He interacted with people. I met him. My dad watched him and guarded him because he was the chief of police. And everybody just kind of, oh yeah, Elvis was here. Well, we're bringing him back.
Where's
Not
that?
literally. He
Where's
has
that
left the
mural?
building, but his picture's coming back to Inverness.
Where did you say the mural was gonna be?
It is gonna, well, if you're facing the big mural now, you go around the corner into the antique mall, it's gonna be on that wall.
Okay, great.
And then we have another mural in the works. Suddenly, everybody in town wants a mural on their building, and I love it. It's so, That's another angle for tourism. Apparently, I found out there are people that make mural places their destination,
And a
so.
mural trail.
Well, we have a blog on our
We do.
website all about the murals, and we'll
Murals.
add those as they get painted.
Awesome. And that's it. Just thank you. Things are rolling good. Citrus County, we're Citrus County strong, and somebody needs to print those T-shirts because I have relatives in other parts of the country, and the minute they hear hurricane in Florida, I'm getting the text. They assume the whole state's been wiped out, even though they say a little bit. So thank you for getting it out there on all avenues of media that we are still here and we're open for business and we weren't wiped out. Thank you, and I'm done.
On one final note, I just, during the hurricane, I was out of the country, and it was my second trip to the Galapagos Islands. Dive, live aboard cruise up into the North Islands, and it is the edge of the world. It is just amazing and pristine and glorious, and they put nature first in everything that they do there. Within limits of being essentially a second world country, because it's Ecuador. So I came back freshly inspired by the role that this board could take to promote the future of the Nature Coast here. There's so much more we could be doing to look beyond even our borders to sort of set an expectation that we value nature here. And that's actually, the environment is our greatest asset. And what you do when you're conservative is you conserve assets. And so, and secondly, I'm not a big believer in rules against the population, but I am a big believer in incentivizing the behavior you want. For example, and I'm approaching this very delicately because I'm absolutely not saying that this would be a mandate, not even remotely, but incentivizing, I'm just throwing out an idea. And for instance, no one has talked to Publix about offering a bag credit if you use your own bag. Plastic waste is a huge impact on the environment as a whole, and it's wasteful. And it's wasteful of money, it's wasteful of resources, and it harms the environment. There was a lot of talk about the floating islands of trash that are out in the Pacific when I was in the Galapagos. And that everything impacts everything else in nature. And so I'm not saying that we're gonna go out and talk to Publix about incentivizing that behavior, you know, a penny or two off for bringing in your own bags. But I'm using it as an example to perhaps inspire the board to think bigger about what we could be doing in terms of really promoting this as a nature coast. Protecting our fisheries is only the beginning. There's so much more we can do. And to own that brand statement that we are the nature coast. So, does anybody have any comment on that?
I like it.
Okay.
And why stop at Publix? Let's hit up Winn-Dixie. Everybody.
I just use it as an
that's-
example because I
Yeah.
happen to shop there, but
Hit 'em all.
but I happen to use my own bags, and occasionally I forget, and then I recycle the other ones. But it's just a broader perspective of the world and our place in the world. And do we have plastic trash in our rivers and lakes? Some. We don't have floating islands. But if those trash bags end up in the landfill, they do end up as floating islands sometimes. You know, they sometimes go from one to the other. So in any event, it's just more of an inspirational statement than anything else. I would love to hear any ideas that pop into your head when you're driving or showering or whatever. That's when I usually do some of my thinking. So
Madam Chair?
yes.
Just to note, for my final project for my certification for destination management, that is part of my strategic plan that I'm gonna present. Once I get the credit for it, I'm gonna present it to the director and to you
Wonderful.
all. And large part of that is working with places like Leave No Trace and getting some of those educational materials in here.
That's wonderful. And I did take some pictures and video of some of the educational
see
stuff
that.
that's in the Galapagos. And it's a very expensive trip to take, but it is just soul changing. It's just amazing to be out there. This trip was not as successful as my first one, although we didn't shipwreck, which was an improvement. I did the first time. The second time I skipped that trip because I was having a little mobility issue. Okay, if there's nothing further?
I actually have a couple of quick comments.
Yes.
I want to, as they do at the Inverness City Council, I want to report about what I did during the month as for effort. So first, I attended the county's expo on Parks and Recs, and I was most impressed. The whole thing was amazing for a first go, but most impressed on how many citizen support organizations and businesses from just over the county line in Hernando and just over the county line in Marion County were there. They had 33 vendors, and it was a great distribution, so they did a fantastic job for a first time. Yesterday, I went to the park planning open house that the state did. It was conducted in the government building in Inverness, and they had the 5 state parks in our county presenting the 20-year plan of what's going to happen with them. And there was only about 25 people attended, although the city manager from Inverness and his parks people were there. And they had literally concierge walk you through each one of the places so you could ask questions and find out what's going on. I'm not sure they contacted our folks. Eric's in the building, so he knew about it and came down. But it's really good information on their 20-year plan and how we work with it. Thank goodness on Sunday we had our With the Coochie State Trail ride, which is the major fundraiser of the citizen support organization that puts money in. The city did us a huge solid, us being the friends of the With the Coochie State Trail. We had Howie Day the night of our ride, and we had a very popular contemporary band the night before, and a fair, and the city was just rocking the whole weekend. We had 383 riders, and since we haven't done one in 3 years, it was a great success, and mostly because they got out and pushed us and made it work. Upcoming things, I'm going to be going down on the 14th to the mural unveiling for the Florida Wildlife Corridor down in Brooksville. And murals rock, they're really doing well. We have a great part of that wildlife corridor. If you ever see the bear signs on 19, it's because the bears on their way to Ocala come through here. There's panthers that go as well. It's kind of ecotourism thing that we should be capitalizing on.
I was told we do not have panthers here.
We do.
FWC, the panther biologist flat out told me there are no panthers in Citrus County.
They track them, and they're not any in residence, but you see them going through the corridor occasionally, very occasionally.
Because a neighbor saw one going after, in the same area as my ponies, like a neighbor of the ponies. They don't live near me, but that kind of freaked me out. So anyway.
Apparently for bears and panthers, Ocala National Forest is where it is, and they've all got to get there from wherever they are. And then finally, Fire Up Citrus is on Thursday night, and I'll be speaking. Mike Zerwinski always has something of interest to say. My subject is called the Movable Feast Trail, and it's about converting our trail into a interpretive 24-mile multiple location trail and doing things like a series of displays that highlight the culture and history of the county, because that's what you need for real sustainable ecotourism, to include the cattle history, the horse history, the river commerce in the 19th century, the Native Americans in the central part around the Salapapa and the Seminole War, and it will also count on starting at the railroad station in Dunellen and ending at the railroad station in Brooksville, because if we get 3 counties working together, we're a lot more likely to get money. So.
And this is exactly why I nominated you for this board position, because you have so much energy to promote other things other than manatees, so I appreciate that. I saw the preview documents, and I'm looking forward to Thursday night.
So, thank you.
And fun fact, there are 7 wildlife crossings on Suncoast Parkway extension from 98 to 44. And part of our role as community leaders is if you hear someone yelling about something and you have a fact to counteract it. I heard someone saying, outraged about the cutting off all the wildlife corridor. It goes, there's 7, but they don't promote it. There are 7 wildlife corridors underneath the Suncoast. They did game trails, and they made sure that the wildlife had a safe place to cross.
Yeah. The woman who runs that outfit, Ms. DeVitt, is from from the Hudson area. Her family's in the auto business, and they've supported it with a lot of money. But she's very focused. Their third video in the series of 5 they've done in the last 10 years. One of the feature areas was Green Swamp to Chatsahowitzka, and she spent a lot of time on the river. If you haven't seen their videos, they're really quite good too. So yes, we're a huge part of the wildlife corridor and the concept. They've actually expanded to now include manatees in the corridor. That does not hurt. So that's all I got.
Awesome, thank you. Anything further?
I
All
got
right.
a couple things if
Oh,
you get time.
yep. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I talked to Paul Jesko the other day with the Hershey RV show, and he still can't give me an answer yet till after the first of the year if we can regain our spots. It's definitely at the top of his list due to the fact for the hurricane and everything else we just dealt with. And I even suggested.
So
if
we're
we-
getting the sympathy play?
Well, there's no sympathy involved. I gave him my $1,000. I just told him to keep it. So there wasn't no sympathy involved there. I just couldn't go. But at the same time, I told him, asking about Discover Crystal River also, and I said, if by chance there's only one booth comes available or something, if I have to, I can double the size of my booth and we can use side-by-side booths to try to get us both represented in the same show. So that's
Excellent.
still in the ups. This Saturday, we got a Cassie State Cook-Off or Florida State Cook-Off in our park. We do it every year. It's been going on for over 20 years. And all the proceeds from this thing go to the Citrus County 4-H Club. And it's a state cook-off, so anybody belongs to Cassie from any state in the country, they have to gather points all year long to qualify for the Grand National, which is in Terlingwood, Texas. And their point system actually starts October 1st. And if they come in first or second place at our park, they automatically qualify for next year's nationals, and they don't have to chase points all year long or anything else, so it's a pretty big deal.
Wonderful.
Follow the Dream. I just read an article the other day, I forgot what town it was in now, but there actually is an RV park being built right now with the name Follow the Dream, and everything in the park is gonna be all based around Elvis.
Elvis is still big.
And talking about t-shirts for the county, Citrus County, what's the famous saying around here? Observe and preserve. That's the t-shirt we should be promoting right there. I mean, that just nails it right there, it covers it.
Anything else? Thank you, Mike. And
That's all
thanks
I
for,
got.
and thanks for going about on the RV.
Yes.
All good?
Jump on board with where we've been. Saturday, I was at the CCA Star Banquet, Awards Banquet, which of course we know we're a destination sponsor of, and it was well attended. I don't think it'll be as well attended as it was when it's at our place, which we get back as we continue that relationship. But it was good, huge, for what that market is, but we were there.
Good. Luann, anything? All right,
I got a lot of things to catch up on.
okay. We always try to finish by 11,
It's
so.
a process, believe me, just even getting.
I'm gonna reopen it to open to the public if anybody would like to speak.
Hi, John Labriola again from Inverness. I was a little disappointed because at the last meeting, there was a long discussion about the Cincinnati Zoo project. And I believe we were told that this topic will be brought back so we could flesh out some of the information that was missing, specifically with regard to the Cincinnati Zoo contract that Madden went ahead and did. And there was a $50,000 contract amount, but the county did not pay Matt Madden because of some stuff that occurred. I don't want to go into that, but that the zoo was paid directly from Madden, and there was some discussion about reimbursing that portion back to Madden, and there was no discussion about that. Is that still something that's going to happen? And also the numbers going to be brought back as far as what portion or how much actually was spent by the zoo, and then how much of that $50,000 was something that that Madden would have been Madden's fee portion. The other thing relating to Cincinnati Zoo is, I believe, Terry, you mentioned that you were going to present the earned media regarding that project. I didn't hear that during the, maybe it went by so fast during the slide presentation, but I didn't see that laid out. I would like to know that. So if you have that information, I don't know if you can present it now, being the meeting's almost over. But I would like that if that's available, either through any kind of documentation that you have. I would like to see that because I think it's important to know that what is being spent with our tax dollars, even if their hotel tax dollars are actually coming back to us in some way. So yeah, that was basically it. And one last thing. I'm sorry, I'm over my time, but since Outcoast was mentioned, will Outcoast come before this board before it goes to the county commission to be considered for the contract renewal? Thank you.
Anything further?
More good news. The hurricane did not cancel the Scarecrow Festival. This weekend, people, make sure you're there.
Thank you, Bud.
Thanks.
Hi, I just want to go a little further than John said, talked about it with the Cincinnati Zoo. I think that that was possibly a fraudulent situation. The commission voted against it. I think the county taxpayers would be a little ticked off if we had to pay any money to the zoo. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that they're a nonprofit, by the way. So Max, fantastic work. You definitely are a great addition to the board. Keep up the good work. These three ladies here that made their presentations to the board, excellent work. I think you should all get pay increases. Max, you need 100% increase.
So moved.
Madam Chair, the bag idea, I think is fantastic. When I can remember to take my reusable bags in and my freezer bags, I take those in and use them. Just from the consumer's perspective, you can carry so much more into the house, so you make less trips than with those little bags that tear.
Save senior citizens money too.
Yeah, a little bit. And, no more bags flying up, and we've all seen them in the trees. I have one in a tree in my yard, too high for me to get. The murals, excellent idea. I love seeing murals wherever I go. I think that's it. Oh, and I didn't misrepresent what you said at that meeting. I'll if I can see if I can see that meeting on YouTube, I will come back with word for word. Okay.
I won't even watch it. I am going from
No, you
meeting
don't
to
have to
meeting.
watch it. I'll watch it. I've already watched it.
I
twice.
just wanted to make I just wanted to make a categorical statement that there has been talk of reparations, for example, to the African American community, and there's just no way to fix what happened to them, and there's no way to do reparations at all. And
to the
so
Indians.
I flinched at that word because that's a very loaded word. And there is reparations is financially putting money from one entity's pocket into another for a wrong that was purported to have been done to them. All we're saying is that we don't hate homosexuals when we say, you're welcome to come here, that's all.
Well, if you want to call it restitution, it's
not restitution.
Not as much of a loaded
It's not
word.
restitution. It's not restitution, but I really
I'll come back
thank
with
you.
your
I
words.
thank you for your praise on the bag idea. I very much appreciate that.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Want me to talk about the Zoom thing?
No, I'll handle it. The zoo was paid by Madden Media. There was no fraud. We have not paid Madden Media for anything to do with the zoo project. End of story. And anything does not have, I need to stick the landing at 11 a.m. We are adjourned.